Welcome to Community Talk Radio. This is Project Independence in You, Talk of the Town on LIU Public Radio. I'm Rebecca Miller, along with co-host Otto Los, and of course, our radio show producer, Kristina Lowe. Kristina, who's also the Director of Senior Citizen Affairs for the Town of North Hempstead's Project Independence, wears a lot of hats. So I'm not a diva. And I'm saying that.
I was going to say, wear a lot of hats, but you're wearing the tiara.
Okay,
today.
So for those who are listening on the radio, I'm actually wearing a tiara, and it's not because I'm a diva. Though there may be some people who think so, but I don't really know. I guess Kristina's forcing me to celebrate my birthday.
Yes.
So thank you so much.
Yes, it was happy birthday. You know, we had to do it. We are back in the studio, and it is your birthday, so we had to do it.
Two reasons to celebrate. And Kristina, your birthday not too far away. I think it would be next week.
You'll have to pass the tiara this way.
And happy birthday. Yes. And you're very young for your age.
Yes. Which I don't even have to say because it's on my tiara.
Yes.
Yeah, but the people on the radio can't see.
Okay, we'll get to that when we talk about the year I was born, because Kristina's also, of course, provided all this information
some background
about the year. But if you listen to the first hour of the show, we had a really terrific guest, Dr. Brian Meyerson from Maywell Health, and he's a pain management doctor and really gave a lot of great information. So much so, and I was like surprised and kind of happy to hear.
Mm-hmm.
I think it gave like a lot of, hope in the situation, because when he was saying like they treat anything, we say, oh, do you treat this? Do you treat this? And he said, if you are in pain, come as well. And then when I was doing research, the different procedures and different things that could be done to really help you, because I think so many of us, and especially as you age, you're in pain for different reasons. Different things hurt. And you shouldn't have to live that way. So I think it's really interesting, these practices that kind of combine all these different, Western and Eastern kind of things.
I think it's great. And I think one of the big points that I think is very important in any medical situation is to talk about the realistic expectations of your situation. Don't paint this great picture like I'm going to go out tap dancing or do whatever. Let's talk real. And what do I really expect? And what do I have to go through to recover from a knee replacement or whatever the situation? And I think that's very important. And I think it doesn't happen all the time.
Now, I think sometimes, doctors are human. Do they want, sometimes maybe they're apprehensive about telling you or bringing that topic up. I don't know. I
don't know either, but I'd rather know.
Yeah.
And frankly, have family members know, so that when we go through this recovery process together, everybody knows where we're at.
Right.
No, and I think that and the doctor and you guys certainly touched upon important topics, and that, it's not, a blanket touchdown every time. I really like the football references of the first hour. And I just want to remind people also, if you missed the first hour, you could listen to it on Project Independence website, the WCWP YouTube page, and of course, watch on North Hempstead TV and get the full video of the whole thing. But it's just, I think it was really, he did a great job of saying, like, sometimes like there is the pain will lessen, right? So it's not this magic wand that erases all of your pain, but I think it's great that insurance, so many insurances he takes there. And I think it's just something important for people to check out. So.
And I like the comprehensive approach that there is talking to your physical therapist. They maybe, can talk about
but I think that's what really struck me too when I was scheduling him, because I think that's how all medical stuff should kind of be. You want to get all the players on board. That's the point of these portals and all these things. So this way everyone is on the same page, because that's certainly when it works the best. So really, really important topic. And you will certainly see him, because I think we should get about advisory committee, maybe a health chat. It's certainly important information. So
I think it would be worthwhile.
Quite the bang to come back to the studio with,
Yeah, definitely. Great. And, next week, we have Ron Roll, who is a wonderful friend of the show, and he has this fabulous podcast. So, I think he's going to be our first live show. So what a perfect guest.
Right.
that to have on the show.
Yes. And Beck is also, so Ron, he's been on the show before. He has a 45 RPM, I believe. What's it called?
Yeah, like the radio.
Something.
Yeah.
But he also, he's coming. Yes, so I just hit my, I was looking at you and it came to my brain. He also has a book called Caregiving Navigator Long Island Edition, How to Plan, What to Do, and Where to Turn When Caring for Your Aging Loved Ones and Yourself, which is clearly such an important topic in itself. So Ron is really going to be, I'm really looking forward to having him on. He's always a great guest. And I was telling Rebecca during the break, because she was away for a little bit, that we also have coming up in April, Roger, I'll get his exact name because I don't want to mess anything up. His name is Roger Hendrick Simon. Yeah. He's an actor, a director, a teacher, and he's coming on because he's had this career renaissance at the age of 81, which is really, really
never
great.
Too late.
Yeah, that's what I think, right? Yeah. And he sent a bunch of pictures, and he's on off-Broadway show. He was in this movie with Kevin Bacon. Also, it's just a Jim Gaffigan. He had a whole list of things, and he does a lot of great teaching for people. So,
and he was in Wall Street too.
Yes,
I just looked him up.
He really,
familiar,
yeah.
right?
So really excited to have him on. So.
Maybe we'll have to go into show business.
Well, I know.
I think so.
We might.
But aren't we really?
We are.
Isn't that what we're doing here?
I'm feeling that way in the studio today. So it's
we are showbiz. This is showbiz.
It does feel different when you're in a studio as opposed to in your home doing the show.
Right.
There's a different mentality.
It is. We're back. And it's nice to be back in the studio. It was fun to pull up today.
It's so nice. And
it was very nostalgic.
So amazing here. The whole studio just looks
and that the studio we were referring to is WCWP 88.1 FM studio.
Well, and
really
I think
nice.
Dan Cox, who's always hiding, deserves a lot of
He's
credit.
still our Wizard of Oz. No matter where the location is, he's still the Wizard of Oz at all times.
Donated to have this beautiful broadcast.
Oh, there he is. There's our man that makes the magic happen.
Right here at LIU Post. Yeah. So if your kids, you're listening, your grandkids, this is technologically amazing, beautiful, open, centrally located near the Tillis Center. Mm-hmm. It's just a beautiful, great campus. Location. So kudos to Dan, the station, the college. It's really a beautiful, beautiful radio
station. And perfect timing for your birthday. I tried to arrange that.
I know that timeline was, you guys were really biting your nails on that for the grand opening for us.
So we should talk about the mentality of when you hit new birthday levels, like key levels.
If Rebecca lived in the town of North Hempstead, she could have, filled out that Project Independence application and been an official member, but unfortunately she doesn't. But I have to say, your age is actually, which is my favorite quote, which I keep sending her, is that she's more fun than 3 20-year-olds.
There you go.
Because I think that really sums it up better, but
as long as you have,
I like that.
Yes.
I like that.
Because that's just, it's
3
really
20-year-olds.
Wow. Right. You're more fun than 3 20-year-olds. Yeah. So I like the more fun part of it all.
So the point being that it's really a very good thing that you're where you are.
It's funny.
A lot of people don't get there.
Yeah, a lot of people don't get there. A lot of people don't get there in one piece, or I am certainly blessed and to be kind of in this temple of body or person and brain that I've been blessed with.
But I also think you're active, and these are all the things that I think we're always promoting on the show, right?
Yeah.
And you have, we always say Beck is, she stays active. She's got a good mindset, and really, and I think that these are all the things about, listen, we're all aging, clearly. And if we're not, it's a problem. But
we're all aging in place.
Yeah,
we are.
We are. We certainly are aging in place, even while we sit here. But you're doing all the things. And so it's when you turned 60, I'll whisper it. I wouldn't even know, in all seriousness, as your friend, as your coworker, it doesn't even register in my brain that, what the significance of that number is. You're just another year older. Fabulous.
It's just me. It's just
you.
It's back. She's
still the same
here.
back.
it's like, I know on a previous show, we talked a little bit about this, and Otto definitely put it in perspective as you did. And you're like, it's just a number.
Yeah.
You know, and
No,
when
it, like,
you
really-
actually really think
Yeah.
about it chronologically, that's really what it is. I mean, I'm 60 and
320-year-olds.
it's just me. It's just a measurement. It's
Yeah.
a measurement of time.
Yeah, but what changed? When you were 59 and 364 days,
Mhm.
is there any difference? When you
Yes.
with the one day?
Because I have to put that down now, like, you know, and on like all the websites where you have your birthday and it's, you know, all of a sudden it's like, oh, is that me? And then I have a lot of older friends.
Yeah.
I have a friend who's turned 70, and she said, I wish I was 60. That helped.
Yeah.
I'm like, sorry about that.
That's what I said.
But it happens like
love
that.
working for Project Independence because everyone forever just refers to me as a baby. So it's great. I
Yeah.
love it. You know, I'm really into it. And listen, we hang around Otto,
Yeah.
who is the
Kid.
epitome
Yeah.
of
Well,
what you
I
want to
was
be.
lucky.
You're the goal. You know, you're certainly the goal.
I
So.
really do work at, first of all, you have to be lucky in terms of health. You know, I've had some things here and there,
Of course.
but nothing that really impacts your life. I mean, are there things I can't do now that I did? Yeah, long list. You know, I used to be pretty good in most sports. I'm okay in some of them,
Mhm.
but you know, I can't do what I did. It's just not there. That's all. So what? So
Yeah.
you do something else.
Yeah.
You know, and to pity, like I used to say to this one friend, get off the pity pot, you know, just because you were 60 or 70 or whatever. Yeah, there's nothing to feel sorry for. You've got good health and you're going in a good way. There are a lot of people who have a lot of reasons to complain
Yeah.
about a lot of things, really.
I think I'm certainly not slowing down or stopping. It's just kind of like a psychological.
Yeah, I think it's
blip.
more getting over the right.
The
Well, yeah.
whole thing,
Yes.
you know, because I've always considered myself young and you know, thinking
So-
my friends are young and you know, when you hit that
I get
number,
it.
it's
Yeah.
it's a, you know, that number just signifies, when I turned 50, I was happy to, you know, but I'm sure I'll get over it.
Yes.
I've been celebrating it now
As
for
you should
long
be.
enough.
Because the key to getting over anything is just to keep the celebration
Yeah.
going, you know? So that's
Yeah.
really just my motto in all things. But, you know, obviously wishing you a very, very happy birthday.
Thank
as
you so
always.
much. And of course, Kristina, you know, set up a beautiful little party and all of our party favors.
Mhm.
And I did see my favorite kinds of cupcakes. And
Yes,
get
I
to
tried
eat
to
the
find
top
things
off
with
of,
very
like,
big
3 of
frosting.
them.
So I was really on a hunt for, you know, very rich frosting on cupcakes for you.
And one of the things you gave me, for those listening, I'm going to hold it up now, is this, what happened the year I was born, which was 1964. So 60 years ago, back in 1964, we talked a little bit about this before, during the break. Here's something we didn't discuss: what things cost.
Oof. Rough.
So a dozen eggs, just a dozen eggs. What do you pay for a dozen eggs today? You know, it ranges.
Yeah.
It was high for a while.
Yeah, it was
before
very,
COVID.
because there was a shortage during
ridiculous.
COVID, I remember.
Right.
Because I couldn't
Depends.
dye Easter eggs, and that was, you know, how I killing this.
So I don't know. Do you gentlemen know what eggs cost? Do you food shop?
Come on, Otto. Can you think? Yeah.
$5.
Okay,
Yeah.
you
I
think
don't
about it.
really
You
know.
go
Yeah,
5 to
I would say,
6,
yeah.
depending if you're doing brown,
Yes.
organic. You know, you have your whole range. So I think 5. So a dozen eggs back in 1964 was 54 cents.
I was gonna guess that. I was
But
gonna
here
Price is Right guess.
Here is interesting. What about a gallon of gas? So
Oh, Otto's gonna revert back to
now
1964.
1960.
38 cents.
Okay.
Oof.
Any guesses? So here's the thing. I was thinking, well, when I was in college in upstate New York, I remember paying 99 cents up there, and that was like 1985 and 86, around there. So Otto, yeah, you're close. 30 cents for a gallon of gas.
Wow.
I was 28 years old that year, which is hard to believe I was 28 at one time. But I was 28 when you were born.
Yeah. Do you
Talk
remember those?
about-
You remember that 30-cent gas?
Oh, I remember those years very, very much so. You know, they were prime time for me. You know, everything's prime time.
Minimum wage is pretty close to what it is today, believe it or not. I mean, you would think back in 1964.
$10.
60 years ago, it was $1.25 an hour.
Mm,
And if you think about
Yeah.
60 years,
Right. You would.
and now what are we at?
I think it's
15?
I think. Yeah. I think
About
it's 50,
15. So I don't know. That's $15. So if a new house cost 19,000 in 1964, and today, let's face it, if you're on
Yeah.
Long Island, you're looking at 500,000. How do you even
Yeah.
equate that number, that, minimum wage? But does it postage stamp was 4 cents. Now
New-
that's up to over 60 cents.
Yeah, it's
Newspapers, what you read back then, you did not.
So let me tell you what a
You did
newspaper
not
was.
have the internet. I used to go to work on the train, the Long Island Railroad, the subway. Everybody had a newspaper,
Mhm.
and you learned how to fold it depending on
Yeah.
what paper you read. If you read the Times, you learned how to fold
Yeah.
it. Then there was back then there was the Herald Tribune, the Daily Mirror, the New York Daily News. There were all these papers that do. Oh, many of them don't exist, obviously,
Right.
but everybody had a newspaper,
Uh,
and your hands would get filthy
Yeah.
from the print at that time.
Mhm.
You know, different.
Popular music.
Say when?
Popular music
Mm.
in 1964. So, of course, it was a Beatles song,
I was gonna say.
A Hard Day's Night.
Oh.
There you go. So I was born the month after the Beatles appeared on the Ed
Mhm.
Sullivan Show
Yep.
for the first time. So I don't know. And I just
And she was
crossed Abbey
crossed every
Road.
state.
I
It's
was
full circle. I was just
it
gonna say.
was-
And I remember when they appeared.
yeah.
I do, really. It was a big deal.
Well, I don't remember because I was in my mother's
But it
belly.
shaped your music
It-
taste
oh,
clearly,
it
which is
definitely
interesting.
did. It definitely did. Having a parent also who was
Mhm.
musical and
Yeah.
I had married someone who was musical. But anyway, we actually have to take a quick break. You're listening to Project Independence in You, Talk of the Town. This is LIU Public Radio, and we will be back after a quick break.
So I get this call from my grandma, and she's like,
What's a podcast and how much does it cost?
so I tell her, podcasts are like radio shows, but you can download them on any device and listen to them anywhere at any time, and they're free. And then she says,
I see, but where can you find good ones?
and I'm like, go to wcwp.org/podcast and check out the lineup of original shows, or download any podcast app on your phone or tablet and search for LIU Studios. And she's all like,
Oh, that sounds easy.
and then she asked me what an app is.
LIU Studios podcasts, available on any podcast app. You know, those little button things on your phone screen. Just ask your grandkids.
Welcome back to Project Independence in You, Talk of the Town on LIU Public Radio. So I guess Kristina, Otto, and I will continue talking about what's going on in the town,
Yes.
and also the fact that I am 60 years young.
Yep,
just-
there it
There you go.
is.
There you go. All right. Does that make everyone else feel
there
better?
you go. I like
That-
it. I like it. There you go.
Hence the nice
There you
diva
go.
crown that
Looks
I
very
just
pretty on your hair. I
absolutely
like
love.
it.
When you work with Kristina, you get everything is special.
Oh.
So,
That's because she's special.
well, that goes without
thank
saying.
God, it's not my birthday yet. My gosh. Wait
But
a couple of weeks.
she doesn't give a gift without planning. I mean, it's not just, oh, I saw these earrings and it made me think of you. It's like, okay, let me carefully research what Rebecca really loves, what's very important to her, and maybe where you're going. And then all of a sudden this basket appears on your desk and it contains all these things. And I just started welling up. She
Aw.
knows my love of music and obsession for London and traveling. And I was going to London for the first time.
So
and
she bought you a ticket
she-
to London and
she-
Paris?
I'm very
she-
generous.
she made fish and chips the night before and it stunk, but it was great. No,
Put it in the basket.
it's just it's like a traveling little overnight bag that you
bag.
put your cosmetics in that had the London Bridge on it, and a pair of earrings that had a pic for the Beatles, and and it was
So
all
cute.
4 of the Beatles on there, and then also just like a beautiful hanging. I don't know, not amber.
Yeah, it had like a little
Like amberish
color.
look. And it's just, you know that she cares about you and thinks about you. And it's not just, here's a gift certificate, which is what I usually give her. But I have, it's because I
Okay,
love her.
I love a gift certificate.
I know you do. So there you go. But it was just so nice.
Good. Well, you deserved it. And, I think this is our first show since you've been back from London, right?
Yes, this is the first show.
Yes, you had
and
quite
I
the
did
one.
wear those earrings,
She did.
mind you, when I crossed Abbey Road.
Good.
And
It's
I
like- it's like I
signed
was
that
there.
wall, and I have pictures of the earring. You have to go make it bigger, but my hair was back and you could see it. And,
Good.
it crossed Abbey Road, and I spent a fortune at Abbey Road Studios. And I signed the wall right outside of Abbey Road. It was great. And
It's
we
so
had
amazing.
such a great tour guide. This guy was awesome. He knew everything. And I stumped him a couple of times on some little Beatles stuff I knew, but he knew stuff that was just great. And we went to Jimmy Page's house, who is from Led Zeppelin.
Of course.
He still lives in this house. His car was out front.
For real?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I had posted it. It's like a castle looking house. And then of course we went to Paul McCartney's house that back in the day, one of his houses, he didn't have all the blockades in front of his house. It was open. People would knock on the door.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'd let him in, until some woman decided to go in through the bathroom window, which is where that song stems from.
Mhm.
And then they had to start putting up gates and all that kind of stuff. And then we went to Freddie Mercury's house, which actually just went on sale when I came back. So it was very interesting.
Yeah,
the
there's
rock
so
and
much
roll
mu-
story.
Yeah, well, there's such a huge rock and roll component, which is so fitting for you to do.
They
for your
would wait
relationship.
for him to come home, and his garage was across the street from the house. So the gobs of people would be out there waiting. So they'd pull into the garage, and he'd never come out because they had an underground under the street to get to the house. So just like a fun little
fact.
story. It
I
was
like
great.
it.
The food was great. We went to Paris. I had
Yeah.
lunch in the Eiffel Tower. So yeah, it was quite a journey. I went on a high-speed train. I went in the tube. I went on a river cruise on the Thames and also the Seine in Paris.
So cool.
Double-decker bus.
Yeah,
So what are you worried about at 60?
I'm not. It's not worry. I don't know. It's just kind of.
it's
I
just
guess
different.
it's a stigma.
It is.
I guess
It
I'm
is.
feeling a stigma.
It's a societal that's
hitting.
really
and I'll be fine because all my
Yes.
friends are hitting 62 and they're
there you go.
they're
That's right.
fine.
That's right.
And my son's for my birthday. My older son gave me a turntable in a little suitcase
So cute.
with he went to a vintage record store in New York City and got me a Zeppelin 3 and a Grateful Dead album, which it was just so wonderful
thoughtful.
because when I was younger, I had that like kind of record player that it was in a suitcase, but I think it was a Barbie suitcase and it only played 45s. This was like you could play, 33s, regular records. And it kind of brought me back because I
it's
used to go to my friend's house with my albums in my arm and I would like run around the corner. We'd have a sleepover and we'd play all our records
It's amazing how that's changed over the years. Right?
Yeah. All you bring is your phone. What's your playlist?
Yeah.
Spotify.
I don't know. I miss I love a playlist, but because my gen, it was, I had, there were some like tapes in the beginning, but then it was really CDs. And I saved like CDs because it was such a thing.
No 45.
No, not in
10
my,
inch, no 12
no,
inch,
not
no
in my
33,
time. Yes.
No.
33,
Yes.
45, right?
Yeah,
all
but
of-
now it's
all of the
70.
above.
now it's Spotify,
Now
Which
it's
listen, I love the convenience. Don't get me wrong, but I do love a hard copy thing. So it's,
And
all
Luke,
tough.
of course, got me tickets to Jones Beach for June
Yes.
29th to it's Bob Dylan, Robert Plant.
So cool.
It's a whole host of it's like an all day or all night kind of music
so nice. So
outlaw
fun.
festival kind of thing. So
Love it.
yeah,
Great
I mean,
stuff.
it's
People
like-
clearly know you
I-
and love you very much.
I
so.
definitely, and I love them. I love you. I love you all. And
Yes.
I'm, in no means complaining. It's just
No.
like, it's got to
Yes.
sink in, a decade.
No, I think it's important to
just
mention.
like,
It is. And I think that's with everything. Listen, like I know people, my friends, we're all in the, I'm glad that they're a little older than me. So I still haven't hit 40 yet. But they all did, and it was like hard for a lot of people. It was just like a weird thing because you're like, all of a sudden you're like, wow, and then obviously looking at Otto's face, he's like, that sounds ridiculous, but it's all relative, right? It's where you are. But I think it's important to be grateful for where you are.
I am grateful. Hey, I started working here when I was 42 for the town of North Hempstead.
Wow.
How do you like that? My kids were like babies, Yeah,
You
were a baby.
Yeah, I was like 20. I don't even remember.
Were you even 20 then?
I think so. Oh, Otto's doing something. I'm not sure what's going on here. Oh, he's just whipping out his.
It's going to be
charger.
So,
I thought it was exciting.
so 60 is definitely significant, and especially for Project Independence.
Yeah.
If I lived in the town, can it be maybe it'll make me like a ceremonial, Project
I know.
Independence
That's
member.
right.
But it like, and I was thinking to myself, do I need any aspect right now of Project Independence? Like if I were in the town, and I would definitely take a fitness class.
I was just gonna say. I'm pretty sure you would sign up.
I would sign up for fitness, absolutely. And if I needed a taxi ride, but right now I wouldn't. But I know all about it, and I'm thinking in my head that so many things are so.
No, I'm like obviously you're still working, so you wouldn't be volunteering or anything. But like there is the fitness classes certainly, I think, really brought in a younger demo of the senior, to Project Independence, which is really, really cool. So and that's really nice that and I'll give a special shout out to you because you do oversee this massive program that I don't even know. Do any classes even have space at this point? Is there?
I don't.
Is it far and few between?
At this point, yeah. I think there's like there's a yoga class at the Yes We Can Community Center on Thursdays that still have some openings. And what happens just like with any kind of gym membership or exercise class,
and some drop off.
People drop off, whatever. Sometimes you have snowbirds and things like that. So. But it's packed. The classes are packed, and
people are so excited to come. We're fortunate at Clinton G. Martin Park, and when it's exercise days because they're so chipper coming in too.
Yeah.
So I got to take some lessons from the people walking in, but they're really excited. And we've said this before too. It's the socialization component of the group that I think is so nice. So not only are you getting physically active, and you hear the music and.
It's free.
And it's free. I mean, that's really the number one. I should have started with it's free. But it's really, really cool. And you could still watch, which I love to on North Hempstead TV.
Yeah.
You could watch so many different. And I love being in especially our advisory meetings or at different programs, and you really hear how much they love the North Hempstead TV component too. Because when you're home, and especially in the winter months, and it's the convenience of kind of doing it in your own thing. You don't have to get in a car and go somewhere, which is always nice. And
I got an observation, right? I go to the advisory committee meetings, and you're talking about exercise classes and lots of other things. And the feeling I get is that it's like 90% women who go to these things. All right. Men need to participate more. There are men out there who could easily go to the advisory committee meetings and whatnot. But for some reason, it doesn't seem to be, they're not as engaged in it. I don't know why.
Always a thing, and that's why the Romeo group had originally started, was from a woman, which we'll just say. And she called and, was like, listen, my husband needs to get out of the house. And women are just more inclined to be joiners and try these different things. And that's why she said, listen, do you know any other men that he could just get together with, and so that's really, and it's funny that you said that because that's how this started. So it was a bunch of wives like, please, it's time. We need to get the husbands out of the house. Let's arrange a group. I mean, I know for myself, I laugh with my girlfriends. It's us, I don't think the guys just can't schedule anything. It's like, all right, we're going to schedule this for you guys. You guys can go do your thing. So I think it's a little bit of a trend.
Men are welcome.
So, Otto, what do you think it is?
I don't really know what it is. First of all, there are less men. There's no question about that.
Right, that's true.
The life expectancy is still different. And I don't really know why. It's maybe it's more of maybe I don't need that kind of support kind of thing. There's a mentality deep down there.
Well, you know what, Otto, we're just going to send you as the face of Project Independence.
Who I've brought this up to, and they, Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe they, it's just not that advisory aspect is interesting to men where, a smaller group where, they can.
Yeah,
talk
because I mean,
to,
look, the men's
or-
group, that we
Right.
have at Project
Well, is that
Independence.
a highly attended?
Yes, and they're like it's a core group who is very serious about, they
Right.
come every week. So I do think that that's, correct, because it's stuff that they're interested in.
Right.
It's a group that's just for, men, and I think they're able to talk about, things that they might not be comfortable in,
Well, the exercise classes, are they primarily women?
They are.
Yeah.
Some of them have a good amount of men. Tai Chi is very popular with men.
Right.
I want to say yoga. Yoga is too, but not as much, I think, as chair yoga isn't as popular with men as just, kind of regular mat standing yoga, like the class that I would teach. But it's definitely, I would say 75%
Right.
female at the.
No, it's interesting too. At the
classes.
advisories, a lot of the men that are there with their wife,
Yeah.
which is interesting. So we're
I
just
mean,
gonna have to get the word out. You're
When
gonna have to
there's
spread the word out.
40 people at the advisory, probably more, 50.
Mhm.
There's like 3 men.
Yeah.
In the whole room.
You're gonna have to. You're the face of Project Independence, Otto. It's
But
riding on
I'm
you.
just
Yeah.
curious. It would
No,
be
absolutely.
interesting to talk to men and find out.
We have that guest who does research. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
How do you engage men to come out to, program? What is the benefit? Do you become more social? Does it help you at home? Does it help with stress?
Mhm.
What was the woman's name who we're going to be working with eventually, who does the research?
Christina Marini.
Right.
Yeah, from Adelphi University. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
because we know Project Independence is successful. We know that, I want to say, just as many men as women use the transportation
Mhm.
program. They're definitely utilizing it, so they're
Right.
aware of
Of the
services.
benefits.
Yeah. And I think some of definitely human service aspect. There's men, the nurses are checking blood pressures, they're doing balancing programs, nutrition, things like that.
And
So-
speaking of nutrition, you just reminded me, and we're talking about the advisory. So last week, I guess it was, we had our March advisory committee meeting. That was really wonderful. We had a great speaker. And we're hoping to have her back on. She was I think her name was Sharon Grossman, maybe her name? I can't
Yeah, I
remember.
was not
Yeah.
here for that.
Yeah, she did a topic on nutrition, and she's affiliated with Northwell Health, the center in Roslyn, the Women's Center, but they do all kinds of things. And they're such great partners. And it's this whole series we're kind of doing and springing into wellness. So we started off with nutrition, and she had, I loved her presentation because it really was, not so judgy. It was kind of like, which is my favorite kind, it's everything in moderation. And she had really funny, because she said she's a dietitian, but she refused to say she's a dietitian because she said the first 3 letters are die. So she does it. And I was like, I never thought of that, and she had really, really great information. She gave out such wonderful handouts. I actually brought a bunch home because there was a great recipe card for the smoothie that I'm leaving in my kitchen, hoping my husband will be inspired to just like make it for me.
Oh,
so it's just,
I was wondering where you were going with that.
so it's just kind of sitting there, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, isn't it lovely? This looks so good. So hopefully I'll get that soon. But if anybody wants the material, because there were such great tips, and everyone knows I love some tips, you can call 311 or 516-869-6311. I'll be happy to send you out a packet, because she was really, really wonderful. And we had her in March because March is Nutrition Month. And in addition to that, we have partnered with St. Francis Hospital Meals of Hope. Meals of Hope is an organization that makes these packets, and they have nutritious ingredients, but they have a great shelf life. So Meals of Hope is all about feeding people. So naturally, they work diligently to ensure that the meals they pack are of the highest quality. They source nutritious, non-perishable ingredients from trusted sources and establish long-term partnerships to keep healthy foods available for seniors. So the packets that we have are these fortified beans and rice casserole, pre-cooked dried beans, soy protein, 6 dried vegetables, and 21 vitamins and minerals are each in each packet. All you have to do is add 6 to 10 cups of hot water and simmer for 20 minutes. And the one package, and they're pretty small, feeds 5 to 6 people and has a shelf
That's
life
amazing.
of 2 years.
Question.
Yes.
I only want to make a packet for 1 or 2 people. What do I do?
Save the leftovers and reheat it. You know,
Freeze
I would
it.
just make it. Yeah.
Can you do that?
Yeah, you could, absolutely.
You don't have to take
No.
take
I mean, you could do that as well, but
one
you know,
half.
you could certainly do that too. You know, and just reseal up the
But
packet.
then would you simmer it for 20 minutes? How many cups
I mean,
of
I think it's
water?
about like you kind of judge it. I
Yeah.
think you would have to kind of judge it,
Guess
but
it.
I personally would just make the whole shebang and then put it in the fridge and then reheat it, you know, as necessary.
in the microwave.
All right. Well, after break, Otto, we're going to continue talking about what's going on in the town of North Hempstead. You're listening to Project Independence and You, Talk of the Town on LIU Public Radio.
Take WCWP with you wherever you go with the WCWP app. Listen live 24/7 to all of our streams, all from one app. Plus, call the studios directly from the app and visit our social media. Download the app through the iOS App Store on Apple devices or the Google Play Store on Android by searching WCWP Radio, or visit WCWP.org for links. The WCWP app, available now on iOS and Android devices.
Welcome back to Project Independence and You, Talk of the Town on LIU Public Radio. I cannot believe that this is the last segment of the show and our first show back at the studio, which has been wonderful, Kristina and Otto. And also, thank you so much for helping me celebrate my 60th. I feel a lot better already. So, as I said in the first segment of Talk of the Town, Kristina gave me this really cool what happened the year I was born. And I just looked at this one part about style, and it made me laugh because today I have 3 pairs of these, and I'm talking about go-go boots.
Oh, super
Do you remember
popular.
go-go?
Boots. And go-go boots are still a thing. You know, they're back. They're
Yeah.
back, baby. So you're on.
I'm so
trend.
happy. I don't know about the pillbox hats.
Yeah. Okay. You know, maybe time and place.
Maybe not. I mean, I would definitely
Depends.
prefer the crown.
Yeah, we could bring it back.
Shift dresses. I don't know what that is.
A shift dress is just like a straight dress. So
Oh,
it's
is that
not
the
like fitted. Like it's just like shift.
It's just
Which
shift.
is
Which
so, yeah,
always
popular.
look nice on ladies.
Yes. And it's so popular.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And guess what hairstyle is in?
And braids.
Kennedy.
Bouffant.
Oh,
The bouffant hairdo. For men,
Wouldn't that be her? Jackie Kennedy? Did she have a bouffant?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, a little bit of a
little
Of course, that was a-
updo, kind
yeah.
of like an updo. And what was in style for men in 1964, Otto? Bold.
Now she's got to teleport back.
Maybe were Nehru jackets around at that time?
Well, I'll tell you what they did. They kind of broke it up a little tricky. So it's bold ties.
Okay.
Bold ties.
So bold ties.
Did you have a
They
bold
went to
tie?
fat ties, skinny ties,
Mhm.
middle ties.
Mm.
And the other thing back then is you wore a suit to work every day in Manhattan. I did.
Oh,
and
yeah. Like,
a hat, a fedora or a straw hat. And I even wore a boater, you know, a straw hat on big flat jobs.
yeah.
These things were all in style.
They
I
were the
like it.
rage, huh?
They were the rage, man.
They were the rage.
And you had to wear all this stuff every day if you worked like I did it in an office, or I was in sales, and you had to wear a suit and tie. And that world has changed so dramatically.
Well,
Yeah.
you do know your men's attire because it says the attire for men was business.
Yeah.
Business attire.
Wow. Otto,
And it
fashionista.
was, however, a preppy style.
Yes. Mhm.
Well, it depended on what you did and what kind of work you did.
Right.
And
right.
like I remember, if you went to like a Broadway show or a church,
Mhm.
you wore a suit. you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I look at old pictures back when they used to go to baseball games. Men wore suits. They all wore the same suit exactly almost. It was like a suit uniform with a hat. And, you know, but then you go back further than that and look at what they were wearing. You know, they had wigs on and
Mm-hmm.
fake
That's right.
everything. So
Yeah.
it's weird how styles over thousands of
Mhm.
years change.
Yeah.
You know, you look at old movies and you look and you say, women, I mean, used to wear these big fat things and men would wear wigs. And,
I know. Well, we always laugh because, there'll be pictures of my grandparents, who were just regular people, they weren't, and they looked like so glamorous all the time. Like I was like, oh my
Right,
women
God.
wore dresses
Yeah, I was
all the
like,
time.
Heels.
when I look at pictures of my grandma, I'm like, oh my gosh, she looks like a movie star, because she just looks so like done up. And it's like, it was just like a Saturday afternoon, so it is certainly.
I mean, a lot of things
interesting.
were treated like real happenings, If you went on a plane, you got dressed up.
Yeah.
You
Oh
know?
my God, I can't even imagine getting dressed
it
on
was
a
just a
plane.
different planet.
The
Very
one other
interesting.
thing that 1964 is kind of known for is it's the last year of the baby boom generation,
Yeah.
which I have found I really know nothing about.
Mhm.
I had played this game New Year's Eve with my friends, and it was questions, like you had a box
Mhm.
for baby boomers, Gen X, Gen Z, millennial. It
Oh,
was
that's
like
fun.
broken up like that.
Yeah.
And, we kind of divided the teams up between people who were baby boomers, which they considered myself a
Mhm.
baby boomer because I was born in 64. I knew absolutely nothing because if you think about it, I wasn't around,
right. Right.
at all. So I knew everything about Gen X.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well,
it's
because that's
kind
how
of
I would always think. I wouldn't even associate you with.
right.
Yeah.
So, but because of the year I was born
Mhm.
is considered the
Right.
the
Very
baby boom
interesting.
generation, but I knew nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, like who was on the television show, who,
Right.
who,
Yeah,
all
'cause
those
you were just a
kinds of
baby,
poppy
yeah.
things that I knew. I mean, his history I knew a little
Right.
bit, but
That was
so
a
it was
very major year in the New York area, because the World's
see?
Fair was in for
Right.
64, 65. There was tremendous construction that went on before that. I think like the Frog's Neck Bridge was built in that time frame. All kinds of roads were expanded.
I think there was a blackout too in the city, and my father was
Yes,
had
there
to walk
was.
home.
I did walk home. I went first to
From the-
stop at Costello's bar.
You hear that? You heard that here.
He said, before I do
It's
this
okay.
walking.
Okay, Dan's like all of a sudden chipped.
Well, I was working in the Pfizer building on 42nd Street, across the street from the news building. All right. And we were in a sales office, and we had a bunch of 28-year-old wackos working together. And we all of a sudden hit this blackout. We were on the 11th floor, I believe it was. We had to go down because the elevators weren't working. So we had to go down all the way to the street level. And we decided, well, maybe we ought to just sit this out and we'll go to Costello's for a little while. And we did that for a
Safety
while,
first.
but then the blackout didn't end. So we actually wound up walking from Costello's, which was like 44th Street and 3rd Avenue, somewhere around there. And we ended up walking over the 59th Street Bridge.
Oh yeah.
Where my
definitely.
father picked us up with no street lights, 8 of us.
Oh my God.
And he drove us all over the place. One guy lived in Breezy Point. My father must have driven for multiple hours, dropping people all
What
over
a good
the place.
dad. That's
Forest
nice.
Hills, Breezy Point,
Yeah.
Woodhaven, I
Yeah.
was at the time. But I remember that blackout clearly. And my first wife, Annette, who's not with us, she was on the Jamaica elevated line, which is, I don't know what they call it now. It was the BMT Broadway line. And she was up on a platform, and they had to all get off and walk along like a,
Oh, they had a walk.
wooden
Oh
thing.
my God.
And my uncle owned a luncheonette ice cream parlor on Broadway and Gates Avenue in Brooklyn. And they had a car, so she was able to get a ride home, but everything was pitch black. It was really
Yeah.
brutal.
I remember my mother was telling me, I don't remember, but my mother was telling me about it, and she was making dinner, and she had me and my brother in the bath, and all of a sudden all the power goes out, and she said she was the only one in the building that actually had dinner. So people were coming over, and my dad had to walk home because he was in the subway.
Yeah.
So I think we were in Rego Park at that time, or maybe we were still in the Bronx.
Well, I ended up in Rego Park that
Oh, really?
day.
Yeah.
Some of the people lived in Rego Park.
So that's what happened.
See?
There's
Big
it's just a
year, big year,
So
big
was
year
it-
of monumental things going
It
on.
was all because you came around.
Yeah, it was.
Civil Rights Act of 1964.
See?
Warren Commission report, investigation into JFK's assassination concludes. However, I don't know if that ever really will conclude. I think everybody.
There's
And
always-
of course, the Beatles, U.S. invasion, and I just invaded London. I did the
That's
reverse
right.
invasion. So, A Star is Born
That's what we refer to your birthday,
was
actually.
the movie, right? Who else was born the year I was born? Laurel Linney.
I believe Rob Lowe might
Rob
share a
Lowe
birthday.
and Matt Dillon,
Yes.
which did not make this, and they were my, two crushes growing up. That and David Cassidy,
Mhm, of course.
but he fell off. But I did see his show at Madison Square Garden when I was 8. My father, I was mad at my father for years because we had the worst seats and he wouldn't buy me binoculars because they were too expensive. So Laura Linney, Sandra Bullock, Ray Stevenson, Nick Cage, Keanu Reeves.
Oh, Keanu Reeves. That's a
I know.
nice one.
And Russell Crowe. I guess
Yeah,
it was
oh,
a good year.
Yeah,
Good
my
year, good company.
gosh. Great
Good company.
actors. Really
Good company. So that's what's going
Yes.
on in 1964.
And I'm sure a lot of our listeners, you took them down like a little trip down memory lane, you
Sure.
know?
That's an interesting thing you brought up, whether you know it or not here, this fact that you would need binoculars. Like I used to go to the Jet games, the racetrack, all these places, and I had binoculars, really good binoculars, because there was no TV backing it
Yeah,
up.
with like these
Right.
screens.
You know?
They
Mhm.
actually did have a screen when I
Really?
saw David Cassidy. It was a big movie screen.
Yeah.
And it was there and it was at Madison Square Garden, but I still couldn't see it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, that was unique then.
Yeah,
Now,
it was a big movie
you
screen.
go to any of these events and the TV is as good as or better.
Right, right.
than
It is,
Yeah.
and the problem is, it's so distracting because sometimes I'll be at a concert and I'll find myself like watching the screen and I'm like, wait, I'm like I should be looking at the stage, but like your brain just like, oh, like, I'm just gonna watch this screen and you have to.
Yeah, it changes
Yeah.
dramatically.
Yeah,
really.
it's true.
Yeah.
But
So what's happening in the
well,
town in
exciting trip.
2024?
Yeah, I was just really
Okay,
enjoying this
we
trip
just
down memory
finished with
lane.
That Meals of Hope,
Yes.
which we were on
Yes.
before.
Yeah.
How do you have to qualify?
Yeah, so no, you do not need to qualify.
Right.
You would just simply call 311 or 516-869-6311. It'll come over to me and I'll tell you to come in. We could certainly have things dropped off with a social worker or nurse. I've had a lot of people actually come in and ask if they could take, for other people. And I said, absolutely.
Can you
you
get
know-
multiple packs? I mean, without being like getting cartons.
Yeah, well, we're obviously
You get
the
rations.
honor, right? The
now.
honor said we only have 3 boxes for the town.
Right.
And 1 box is already gone. The second one's almost gone. So it's limited. Hopefully we'll get some more, but it's really, I like that a lot of people are coming in saying, listen, I have a neighbor that is homebound and can I take a couple of packets over there? Of course. I'm really not going to say no. If you give me a story, so it's really, we just want to distribute it to people that are in need, obviously, because there's a lot of people out there that are. So please call 311.
Right.
We really
You know
want to
what I
get this out.
found interesting about that Meals of Hope, besides the fact that the end user, if you will,
Mhm.
gained, they have this meal packing events, which I thought that's really a social type
Yeah.
of thing, where everybody's packing these meals. And I guess if people are interested, they can go on to the Meals of Hope.
Yeah, certainly. And you can always
website.
call through and we can get you, connect you over to them because it really is nice. And because I saw that on their site too, and it becomes these kind of social events. And I think it's nice to with these like volunteer, and there's people out there who are always looking for some kind of volunteer opportunity to do in the community. So great point, Otto, that they certainly offer that too. So it's really exciting partnership. I'm glad they reached out and we were able to connect this year with that. So great stuff. I want to remind everyone, of course, we have all of our social groups are still meeting and there's so many of them. We have our Blankets of Love group meets Tuesdays at 1 p.m. at Clingy Martin Park. If you are into knitting and crocheting, it's a great group for you.
That group is so great.
It's amazing. I love walking by them on Tuesdays because they get right to work too.
They are
They come
rowdy,
in, they
too.
come in there, boom, and they're just, going so fast. It's such an amazing group.
You know what? You used the word social,
Mhm.
and March is Social Workers Month.
Thank you.
right?
Yes, it
And this
is.
is the last session in March.
That's right.
So congratulations. And
Thank you.
to the
Yes.
social workers.
Yes, Paula
There
and
you go.
I were exchanging
My
all that
granddaughter.
logo. You know, we really, Paula got me a whole bunch of great stuff with the Social Work Month theme this year. And of course, I got her as well. So it's thank you very much. And a shout out to the Project Independent social workers in North Hempstead, because they are the ones, them and the nurses, the ones that are really connecting one-on-one and helping people really throughout the year. So shout out to all of them. And thank you, Otto, for that. We have our social discussion group that is virtual, that meets on Thursdays. We have our bridge class. I actually had a meeting, I guess, I don't know what it was, like 2 weeks ago. A bunch of us went over to meet with Alverna Lewis, who is a PI member who came to us to create this group. And she is amazing. And we all kind of got like a bridge little tutorial. I was blown away. I had no idea how intense bridge is. And really, it's more than a game, you know, and I'm so glad I was part of the meeting, because it's really like a brain game, and the amount of thinking and really, you know, figuring out the next move, and there's different words and plays, and you move from table to table. I mean, it was so amazing. Such a great group. So we were just talking about what different supplies.
You know, at one point, many newspapers had a bridge area where they demonstrated bridge strategy.
Really?
Mhm.
Yeah, because it's really, I mean, and there's like different like lingo for things. I was fascinated. I could have sat there all day because it was really impressive. But we actually have a beginner class and an intermediate class, and you know, there's some more advanced things that we're trying to dive into too. But that meets on Wednesdays at the Yes We Can Community Center at 10 to 11:30 is the beginner class, and 11:30 to 1 p.m. is the intermediate class. So call 311 if you're interested in that, because it's definitely a good time. We have our Golden Hearts bingo and blood pressure screenings group. That's over at the Roslyn Community Center. That meets on Thursdays at 12 o'clock. We have our Fridays at Yes We Can. The exercise for balance and strength is full, but we have our brain games group that meets. We have our current events group there, heart to heart bingo and blood pressure screening. So you could really make full use of Fridays at Yes We Can.
Except this Friday, but by the
Except,
time
right.
people listen,
Right.
because of Good
Yes,
Friday,
they'll would have missed it already.
they
They'll
will
be
miss it already.
hanging
Hopefully
on to
they
our
will.
every word. The men's group, as I mentioned earlier, that meets at the Hillside Library. You could also do that virtually, so that's a hybrid group. So call 311 to participate in that. And then really exciting news, our Smart Van was just at Fusillo Park in March, and they helped a lot of people. And they even offered, which was a new thing, to go to the homes of some people and provide like direct assistance. So they're such an amazing partnership with Family and Children's Association. And they will be on April 17th at Clinton G. Martin Park, which is the same day as our Project Independence Advisory meeting.
And we had the St. Francis van at the
At the Spring Fling.
the
Yes,
Spring
but I wasn't in
Fling.
that day.
Yeah, it
Oh, good.
looks like they were getting some action. It
Great.
was
Wow. And we are rapidly running out of time. So
Yes.
call 311 or 516-869-6311 to get any of this information or any upcoming events.
well. Thank you so much for listening to Project Independence and You Talk of the Town, and I want to thank also Kristina and Otto and Dan, of course, for this lovely birthday celebration. It does mean a lot to me, and it's just great to be back in this fabulous studio. It really is amazing, and can't wait to come back
exciting.
next week
Feels good to
live.
be back.
That's right. So Project Independence and You is a production of Long Island University Public Radio. Dan Cox is our engineer. Join us again next Friday at 10 a.m. on LIU Public Radio. Have a wonderful weekend.